Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak. We're taking a look at the issues behind the headlines. Speaker Justin Muturi wants MPs to table World Cup special report. It's been a month since legislators went on a benchmarking trip to Russia on taxpayer terms. National Assembly Speaker says that's enough time to write findings. It's not one of the big headlines, but yes, it caused quite some ruckus when Kenyans saw pictures of your colleagues in Russia enjoying the good time, enjoying the football live from the stadiums. And many asked the question, why is Parliament spending this kind of money on such a trip? But the answer was, it is important because it's a benchmarking trip, and we should they'll write a report which we could use as a country in terms of advancing our sporting talents and infrastructure. A month later, that report is not ready. Don't you think that we've been taken for a ride as Kenyans?
I don't know if the report is not ready. I don't know who you would blame for taking Kenyans for a ride, because members of Parliament do not sit and write reports. We have technical teams that probably accompanied members of Parliament for that trip. Usually when members of Parliament go on official duty, they have technical support staff that go with them and do such reports. So if they have not done a report, the people that should be blamed is the technical team,
but
not members of Parliament.
It should be members of the National Assembly that will actually table that report in the House, not the technical teams. There should be some form of follow-up.
No, but you see, one of the that is why, you know, it's only that very unfortunate you focus so much on trips. You'll focus on the members of Parliament, but you'll find behind they have a very serious technical team, and even in the county assemblies. So I always tell the technical teams, you are there, it is your duty. There is no way members can travel and you've come back the whole year, you've not seen the reports. It is wrong. And now, even when now it will be questioned, you find that it is the members who are being questioned. But what about the technical team that use the public resources? You know, we don't even talk about them. We assume it's only members of Parliament. So for me, while he's questioning, I know there is a committee. There's a committee of sports, and I think that is where the speaker is coming from. That the committee of sports and maybe the chair must be now responsible to push the technical team to ensure the report is tabled. Yes.
Because if this report was to come out maybe 5-6 months after the World Cup, surely, of what interest would it be to Kenyans then?
I first raised out on the reporting of, on the headline of this report. I don't really think that the Honourable Speaker raised the issue with the members of Parliament and it put them to task. There is nothing like putting members of Parliament to task. I mean, really, the wording itself is wrong. It's silly.
But there is an expectation, at least there will be a report from Russia.
Now, exactly. I want to say that I play for, you know, first this thing brought issue the moment the members of Parliament, you know, found themselves in Russia or went to Russia. You had the hula-boos and the talking all over the street that what did they go to do? So really, we expect such stories to come up. And I missed slightly to travel because I play for Bunga FC, but I was supposed to...
You should have been part of that team.
I should have been part of that team. But then, just like the Honorable Millie has said, really, when we travel, and even when we sit in our committees or anything that we do, what we only do is to discuss the report that has been brought to us before it's tabled in the House. We agree with the findings, and expecting a member of Parliament to sit down to write a report, and then you still expect him to be in Parliament to debate motions. You expect him to be in the constituency with the constituents. It does not really work.
Then it raises a very fundamental question. If at all the technical team that travelled there was the one to prepare the report, then what was the role of the members of Parliament who travelled?
This is it. Exactly. We are legislators. We are the people who make policy.
If at all you had travelled, what would have been your role?
My role is to comment on the report that going to be the add my voice on the report and make provisions as a member of Parliament. And if I want any legislation that is touching on the sports, it is through me that of course it will have to pass in the House. But again, on the issue of timelines, I mean, it's just 1 month, for Christ's sake. Really, it's just 1 month. We should be asking, at what stage are you guys at? I mean, what point have we reached?
And also maybe, sorry my brother for interrupting, but also we forget that the sports committee, I don't know if you sit in the sports committee, you play for Bunge. I also used to play for Bunge in the last parliament, though I did not manage to go to the World Cup. Maybe it wasn't whatever. But what I would say is that the sports committee does not only deal with the World Cup, it deals with so many issues around sports.
Yeah, we talk about this special trip to the World Cup.
That came before the World Cup. So really, in the nature of things, is you don't, you know, jump reports because there's a World Cup report. It kind of gets on the queue of every other work that the committee is doing. It will eventually get to Parliament, because Parliament, when you table a report, the report is supposed to influence policy or legislation. So it will still influence policy or legislation, whatever they discovered in the World Cup that may be of interest to us as Kenyans. Maybe they discover that for us to want to host the World Cup, what level of infrastructure or infrastructural needs we may need to put in place, what kind of security measures we need to put in place, you know, what kind of logistical arrangements we need to have in place, or maybe just the report could just say we are not ready in the next 50 years.
It's not top on the list of priorities.
Well,
right
no,
now.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that what is likely to be is that the sports committee, I don't sit in the sports committee, unfortunately, but what it's likely to be is that the technical team that gives us the support is, I'm sure they already have some other work that they were already doing. And
so
then
a month later, the report maybe is not even ready. It would come, maybe they're still working on it.
Maybe it's ready. I don't know. At this point, we are merely speculating because none of us sits in that committee. So really, I don't think it's, if you ask me, it's too much ado about nothing, because it will eventually come. And if you look at, even look at the one on sugar, which is even affecting our health. How long now since the report?
Well,
the
headline on the dailies today, and as I always say, here on the News Review, we just handle the headlines as they come. Yeah, Speaker Justin Muturi has now demanded that members of parliament who flew to Russia for the World Cup football tournament at taxpayers' expense must produce the benchmarking report, and Kenyans are waiting for that.
Yeah, maybe why he's saying that, we might ask ourselves, was the money in the last financial year or this financial year? So if it was in the last financial year, the report has to be tabled, because now, if you don't table the report again, you put the members... It must have been the last financial year, because put the members into a query, an audit query, because the World Cup must finalize the books for the Auditor General. Maybe that is why he's pushing it.
Well, of course, this headline generated quite a lot of interest. It elicited quite a lot of reactions, and that's why we're looking at it, when members of the National Assembly went on a benchmarking trip to Russia for the World Cup. Now, the other headline I've seen, and I'd want us to discuss this, is the issue of the media. And Deputy President William Ruto has accused journalists of spreading propaganda and misinforming Kenyans following reports of division in Jubilee. And I want to ask you, do you agree with the Deputy President that the media is to blame for whatever is happening to Jubilee? And he repeated this quote by the President a few years back. He said, "Hata rais alisema kwa gazeti ni ya kufunga nyama." This is in reference to the media. Do you agree that the media and the headlines that come from the media have been misleading?
I want to be very honest. Before I joined Parliament, I used to take everything from the media as gospel truth. And that is my position. But then when I joined Parliament, I realized that much of the things are lies. That you know, much of the things that are
most of these headlines,
they're
just lies.
Exactly. Of course, the iota of truth they still exist, or about 30%, but much of it is a lie. That the media decides to brand you and create you the way it wants you to be. I mean, can decide today and call me whatever, and there's nothing much you can do. So I want to agree with the Deputy President that, you know, it's the media that reads too much, and probably you are going to see the headline on HSR sentiment like for about 2 weeks, twisting it, you know, the way they want. And for me, what the Deputy President is saying is that let the executive work, report only on facts. You even saw people talk about, you've seen people talk about the loss of a lot of money, and then when you're asked about books, you know, the records and everything, your history, you can't authenticate them. You can't bring, and you can't substantiate your facts. You've had the issues of 500 million shillings exchanging in Parliament through the committees. I mean, really, where was this person? How did this person count the money that was exchanging between my hand and Millie's hand? Really. So much of the stories that are reported by the media at times, okay, we don't really need to term them as gospel truth. And through this, there could be issues in Jubilee. I don't want to disagree on that. There could be issues in the government, of course, out of the entry of Raila Odinga, because some people feel uncomfortable. It's true that people feel, okay, what is his position? What is the role? Which is very normal in politics. But I don't think it's a mountain. I don't think it's something
but there
that is
are
so big
issues.
to look. There could be. I'm not saying there are. There could be issues. I'm not very certain. I'm not an authority.
Honorable Millie, do you agree with the Deputy President that the media is misinforming the public with regard to what's happening in Jubilee?
Well, maybe I've missed a lot about what the media said, because I don't remember what the media said really about the Deputy President and Jubilee. So I don't think I'm really in a place to say, but because I've not seen.
Do you feel that the media probably has been unfair to the Deputy President at any point?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I've not seen, that's what I'm saying, maybe I missed something. I've not seen what the media has been saying about him in relation to Jubilee and the discomfort in Jubilee. I've not seen, I must have missed out. So I don't want to use some terminology I used earlier, but I don't know, I've not seen.
Because I'm looking at this story on page 6 of the Daily Nation, and they even quote Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga saying the media should respect the DP and highlight some of his positive deeds. That seems to suggest that the media has been, in some way, just looking at the negative side of what the DP is doing.
So maybe do you think that is accurate?
Have you felt that from the media?
Why don't you show us some of the clips that you've been saying? That might be
all these things are in the public domain.
You know, one of the things, and you know, sometimes I like now being very, you know, open.
Yes, because this is a news review. We look at the news and we say this is true, this is a lie, and this is how it is.
For me, you know, since 2013, I think the media has been on Jubilee, on my president and my DP, on many issues. I mean, I remember even on the issue of land. Oh my, all the cartoons that were drawn and everything.
But this is the president and his deputy.
For me, coming from the Jubilee side, we have seen it all on this issue of newspapers. And I think that is why one time when the president was a bit angered in Narok, I remember that is where he said, "Ata gazeti itafunga hii, tutasoma na tunafunga nayo nyama." It was because of that anger. So for me, what we need to ask ourselves, when you do all this, because I would want the media also to embrace this handshake. Let us be honest, media. Embrace the handshake also and bring the country back together. But if you want to make it as if, because for me, the former Prime Minister, in his mind, he felt, our country is Kenya, and we don't have any other. I need to come back, I need to see us move to the next dispensation of our country in one. Now, the media should ask itself, are you in that dispensation of seeing us move, or do you want to use the space because you want news? I agree. You'll have to get news. And to get news, media believes negative news is the best. So within all the drawings of what you do, you need to also ask, are Kenyans, what are Kenyans feeling? Because I know there was a time also Kenyans felt, haven't we gone so far? So it's, and Kenyans are all of us. Even those who are writing that newspaper, you are a Kenyan. So you need to ask yourself. So you know, when you come in and you create all the news you are creating, it is like, oh, now let us create it. Some will start saying, Baba is the one who has brought this. It doesn't, for him, and I want to repeat, he felt, I'm a statesman, I want to bring this back.
Okay.
I want to bring my country back.
But because we're seeing even the CSHS talking about something similar to what the media is talking about, and would you say he's being informed by the media, really?
No, let me
because some of the complaints he has include about the handshake, include about his perceived allegiance
exactly
to the DP, and these are things that the media reports about.
I want to agree with Honorable Lachi on the issue. You know, they say negative news sell than positives, and I think that is where the media focuses on. You'll hardly see a newspaper talk about a young man who is employed, who's come up with a company and is employing some young people and everything to encourage the other young people. There is a question you asked particularly on whether the newsrooms are focusing negatively on the Deputy President, and I want to say yes. I mean, that certainly people have even lost their names. look at the headlines, even in the recent past, that DP Alice, DP Alice, DP Alice, DP Alice in the coast. I mean, they don't have names? Can't you call those members their names? The Honorable so-and-so missed His Excellency the President's function. So you want to portray it in a negative way. That even when the people, like I saw in the coast, when some members of parliament who are perceived to be close to the Deputy President missed His Excellency the President's events in the coast, you saw the media report the other way. That His Excellency the President, no, the President snubs the peace friends. I mean, why can't you just say that some members of parliament missed His Excellency the President's functions? Why do you want to assume that when I work with the Deputy President, I'm his friend? You just want to assume that, okay, if I'm a DP early and I decided to move because of the political reasons. Now, the media the other day started their own lifestyle audit. And they started on the Deputy President. They said he owns this, some of the things they can't even substantiate. The following day, like the Deputy President said, we expected someone else also to be placed on the microscope, as it were. I mean, it stopped there. When the Deputy President speaks something, it's turned, it's converted the other way. When we were in the prayer breakfast, I mean, the Deputy President was keen, looking at the way Right Honorable Raila Odinga was hugging His Excellency the President. But the media took that picture negatively and they started focusing on it.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Surely. I mean, there are many times I've also disagreed with the media, even the times when Jubilee was complaining that the media was not giving them good coverage. Even on our side, we thought the media was very unfair on us. But really, I think we are stretching it when we are expecting the media now to interpret photographs.
Well, they are the ones who take the photograph.
If the DP is captured looking in a given manner, you want the media to change the way he was looking. I think there's a little bit of jitteriness. Again, I would want to agree with you that people have taken the issue of the handshake very differently, and I think that the jitters is what is coming in, because if my understanding of the word ally is that it's a good thing. So, like for instance,
no
you are carrying the badge of being the DP's friendship. You know, with honor and with a sense of pride. So even the friends of the DP, if they are mentioned in the papers as his friends, I don't think they should be embarrassed about it. The way I carry the badge of being a friend to Raila Amolo Odinga with honor, and very recently adopting the friendship with the president with honor. So even you, please, and his allies, carry it with honor and with pride.
Yes. Yeah.
Carry it with honor and with the pride. There is nothing to be ashamed about. So even recently, when the media said that Honorable Millie now has said she's a defender #1 of the president, I cannot complain because I said it. So also be ready to stand by what you say. If Chesa now has gone on that tangent, you know, really, you cannot blame the media for covering. Even me, one time I didn't speak very well of the president. And the media covered. I cannot complain. When the media covered, because I'm the one who spoke, I didn't borrow anybody's voice.
But at times, there is an element of misreporting. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying that we do not own the sense of honor.
When it's the DP himself complaining, then it raises an issue. Because politicians can say, at that level, they can always complain and say they were misquoted. But when the Deputy President comes out and says, the media has been unfair to me.
You know, I say the media...
Well, I would want to hear the words verbally. You know, sometimes also the wording...
Even on this story, we've still misreported.
No, I don't know. Because for me, this is my Deputy President. I mean, whether you like it or somebody hates it, he will move in this country because he's the Deputy President. And the media will report about it. And the media has no choice but to report about it. So now the next question will be, as you see him, because it's like, again, we are discussing, this is the Deputy President of the Republic
we're talking about different media houses.
And the Constitution.
We're not talking about, there's no meeting where editors sit from different media houses and decide, okay, fine, now we're targeting this person this way. These are different media houses. Are you saying that there is a perceived agreement
maybe
you know, that is the news now.
To do this to the Deputy President?
Maybe you're having these secret meetings that these guys are talking about.
DP sells. So you put it, it sells.
Let me say this.
It's like when you use the former prime minister, you put it, it
Exactly.
sells. So when you're depicting them on a competition, sort of, it is selling.
Okay. What I'm saying is, media brands a person the way it wants. They branded Raila Odinga a while back, a lot of names, and it could sell all over. I mean, some of those things which were lies, actually. And you will sit with Raila Odinga and you're like, okay, is this what I read true? Because I had read, I mean, I've read something and I'm sitting with this guy. It's not as the media reports seem to be. Now, let me talk about, like, the deputy president. We've been moving around. Okay, personally, I've taken the deputy president to my constituency to commission a road. About 2 or 3 roads, and
it was reported in the media.
Then now the media reports that we started campaigns too early. I mean, really, shouldn't he move around the country as the deputy president to commission anything? Okay. Is he not does he not sit in the executive?
Okay. Unfortunately, our time is up. Yes.
What I'm saying is, I know right now people are scared of the fact that the deputy president is rising too fast. But they should live with that true fact.
The media.
No, some people are using the media also to try and kill the dream of a son of a peasant, and that is what we are defending.
But we need to redefine peasant.
Because of time, let's
because if it's a son of a peasant,
no, God has blessed my DP,
no,
and so there's nothing like
about God blessing. God has blessed all of us.
Yes,
but we need lifestyle.
You're taking your time for your final remarks. Honorable Millie, your final remarks. 30 seconds.
My final remark is that I'm very worried about the way we are moving around the media, because it's very uncannily similar to what Trump is doing in the United States. That you brand
accusing the media of
and for me, my worry is when you go that direction, it means we are starting to move in the area of freedoms. And this is a person with a possibility at all of being a president. That is very worrisome, because if you're already attacking the media at this point, what if you are to become president? It means no more freedoms for this country. I'm very worried about that.
Honorable Speaker Elachi.
Well, first, I would say I know the media has done a fantastic job in this country. And for us to move forward, I know we need each other. Now, it is how we package each other and how we support each other. Because today we are here, tomorrow you never know where you will be. But going forward, we are still on the same track. I can see we have a lot happening again. But at least the headlines today are a bit different than the ones we have seen. We want to now move forward as a country, and I still insist, as a country, we need to ask ourselves, if the DCI is doing a lot of the job he's doing today, and ESCC is here, I want to plead with Parliament, look at the young men in the DCI, the young men and women who are doing the work at the DCI. They are doing the same job ESCC are also doing. The salaries are too vast, and that can create again a lot of compromise. So you kindly look at what the DCI is doing. If they are doing a good job, let them also remunerate the people who are doing that job, so that they don't wonder, I'm looking for these billions, we are able to get them back, and so what are we paid when these other ones are doing the same and they're paid well?
Finally, Honorable Silvana Sosoro.
Nobody will want a gagged media, and I think we should be right from the onset that nobody wants to gag the media. But what you're saying is that we need now to move from propaganda to truthfulness. Stories like Parliament exchange 500 million are actually ill-advised, and one can't substitute that.
Stories about issues within Jubilee.
Stories about, now write stories about within Jubilee or within NASA or wherever, but speak with facts. And when you do fact, when you write your fact, I mean, nobody can come out and say, okay, you see, I've even seen I saw a while back when the media was bringing sentiments made by the Deputy President and the current statement. Now that is right, because you're actually bringing him right from the onset. You said this and now you're saying this. That is right. But perception, I mean, we shouldn't be writing stories that we perceive ourselves. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Silvana Sosoro, MP Mugirango South, Beatrice Elachi, Speaker, County Assembly of Nairobi, and Millie Odhiambo, MP Suba North, helping us look at the issues behind the headlines this Monday on Daybreak. Well,